Hello and welcome to ScrewyLoops for another episode of Before You Ride, where we give you everything you need to know about a coaster, who it's suitable for, who may enjoy it, whether it's worth a 100 plus up to 60 or less than 20-minute wait, and finally whether it's worth making a trip at all. You're watching ScrewyLoops and this is Before You Ride Taron at Phantasialand. Is there ever such thing as a perfect roller coaster? With airtime so aggressive that you could high-five the moon, forces so vigorant that you could feel the weight of every passing energy through the Earth's core, and a layout so complex that you need an Enigma machine just to understand what on earth's going on? I often question what actually does make a coaster quote-unquote perfect, and honestly I could never conjure up an answer. Well, until I took 14 rides on Taron in a single day. This coaster is as close to perfection as I could possibly imagine. It ticks pretty much every single box for me. Located in the beautiful German theme park Phantasialand, this Intamin Blitz coaster is clearly their crowning jewel, but it didn't come without a few challenges in which the park needed to overcome. Like Alton Towers in the UK, Phantasialand are rather restricted on what they can or can't build. All of the attractions need to be hidden carefully from the local residents, either through the use of clever terrain formation or simply digging deeper and deeper down. Not only that, they need to think carefully about where to construct their new attractions due to the park's limited size. Come 2014, Phantasialand began to demolish the Silver City area of the park, which would then later become Klugheim in 2016. Klugheim is currently home to both Rake, a Vekoma family boomerang coaster, and Taron. This Norse-inspired mythical village consists of dramatic basalt rock formations and deep valleys as a means to restrict the attractions from view and give Klugheim personality. Of course, again, the construction of Klugheim wasn't without its set of challenges. The local residents protested against the opening of the new area and wouldn't go down without a fight. Luckily, members of the new coalition at the time supported the project, addressing it would safeguard jobs and the park's future, giving Phantasialand the go-ahead. Klugheim plays a vital role in Taron's overall experience. It really pumps up the atmosphere and honestly brings this coaster to life. The layout is effortlessly stitched throughout Klugheim's structures and mountainous scenery like a labyrinth, intertwining with every space possible. Taron takes every opportunity to utilise its minuscule footprint, overlapping itself a total of 116 times, more than any other coaster today. It's so impressive to see both Intamin and Phantasialand produce such a limitless coaster within a very limited space. Bravo guys. They didn't stinge out on the theming either. Phantasialand is one of the leading parks in the industry when it comes to theming, and Klugheim is arguably their best work yet. And whilst the story of the area isn't made exactly clear, the attention to detail in every structure, rock and rooftop kinda tells a story in its own right. Klugheim is dark, cold and medieval. The corners of buildings have carved in dragons, which are symbolically used to fight off demons and protect the village. There is an industrial-like presence throughout Klugheim. You can make the story up as you go along, although I'm pretty sure Taron is meant to represent a machine which is used to transport materials or something like that. Klugheim simply thrives off its atmosphere. This follows suit throughout Taron's queue as well, thanks to an epic soundtrack composed by Imascore, an orchestrated piece of music which wouldn't sound out of place in a blockbuster fantasy flick. It is so good. The queue offers plenty of overhead views of the coaster and refrains from dropping you into cattle pen hell, for the most part anyway. Once near the station, it offers you the opportunity to queue for the front. Honestly, if this is your first ride on Taron, wait that little bit extra and get on the front. Thanks to the fantastic throughputs, you shouldn't be waiting too much longer. They run like 4 trains on this thing and get them sent out quick. In terms of storage, Taron uses your typical baggage hold system, so don't worry about storing your belongings in a locker or anything like that. The trains on Taron are fantastic. There are 4 cars per train, using your typical 2x2 setup, making for a total of 8 rows. You might only be able to get 16 riders per train, but thanks to the consistent operations, you're never waiting too long. The seats are very spacious and comfortable, plus the lap bars give you plenty of slack if needed, and so much room to breathe. They are ideal for this type of coaster, and the designs are stunning too, as to be expected from a park of these standards. So, who is Taron suitable for? With its 1.3 meter height restriction as well as a lack of both inversions and sheer drops, Taron seems to be quite an accessible coaster. It's far from a family coaster by any means, but Taron strays away from fear factors and puts a bigger focus on overall enjoyment. The first half of the coaster dips you into the shallow end nicely before diving you into the deep end throughout the second half. Taron begins with a fairly perky 0 to 49.7 miles per hour launch, powered by an Intamin's linear synchronous motor system. It's not going to blow your face off like their hydraulic launch coasters for example, but in terms of LSMs, this one actually packs a punch. This first section of Taron certainly acts as the calm before the storm, offering a much more easygoing, comfortably paced experience. That being said, this part arguably contains the best airtime moments of the entire layout. The first hill in particular comes as a great surprise, packing in a whopping 7 of ejector airtime, peaking out for about 2 to 3 seconds. It's excellent, and easily one of the highlight elements. And then a bit further on is another airtime moment which seriously yeets you from one side to the other, completely catching you off guard. While this first segment is clearly much tamer than the second, it still offers a great layout with nice pops of airtime as mentioned, as well as some awesome interactive moments with the surrounding scenery and structures. However, this is still the appetizer and the main course is yet to come. As the speed slowly begins to sizzle out, you swoop into a dark pit and straight into the second launch. Surprised and bedazzled, you're then suddenly propelled up to speeds of 72.7 miles per hour, providing one of the most exhilarating moments of the entire coaster. You can really feel the acceleration pick up here, and the roar it emits is simply demonic. Using the speed of the launch, you soar up to the highest point of the layout, peaking at just around 98 feet. This second section is ferocious. Every element here is taken at incredible speeds, creating for a very intense, disorientating extravaganza. Taron really holds on to those G-forces around the bank turns, pushing you into blackout fueled euphoria. There are a few pops of ejector airtime to cleanse the palate, let's say, but this section of the layout is primarily an onslaught of high intensity turns and breakneck transitions. The claustrophobic scenery surrounding Taron gives it an amazing sense of speed, but you actually go in that quick, you barely have chance to take any of that scenery in. The sporadic twists and turns of this second half might look a bit cheap on paper, but Taron pulls this off flawlessly. It's completely insane and never fails to get the adrenaline pumping. So is Taron worth a 100 plus up to 60 or less than 20-minute wait? Let me get this straight, you do not want to miss out on Taron. If you find yourself in Phantasialand and Taron has a 100 plus minute queue, just get on it. You will not regret it, but thanks to the throughputs, it rarely gets a queue over 70 minutes anyway, so you should be fine. And finally, is Taron worth making the trip at all? Now at the beginning of this video I mentioned, is there such thing as a perfect roller coaster? And from my personal point of view, Taron does everything right. In my eyes, Taron is perfection. It balances just the right amount of everything and polishes it up with outstanding theming. Sure, there are coasters out there with better airtime, better launches and more intense layouts, but I haven't seen a coaster combine all of these as well as Taron, along with looking absolutely freaking amazing. So yeah, Taron is well worth the trip to Phantasialand alone, wherever you are. Many thanks for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Recently I asked if you could wish for any attraction or coaster to be built at a park this Christmas, what would it be and which park? And my favourite answer was this. Massive shout out to Coastersaurus. I would genuinely love to see a GCI at West Midlands Safari Park. The park already has a decent selection of rides, but no real standout coaster, so something like this wouldn't go amiss. I hope you all had a great Christmas and a happy new year. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that thumbs up, smash subscribe for more content like this, and give the bell a flick to keep all up to date. Top left is the latest video, bottom left is a random one, and make sure to hit that button on the right for the ride of your lives. You've been watching ScrewyLoops, draw a bit.